Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you doing today? This is your guy, DeMarcus Tunstall. Today is September 19th, and we are going right after it, to be honest with you. Today's quotes is "Do not put off tomorrow what you can do today" by Benny Frank, or Benjamin Franklin, as some of you guys call him, BF, whatever. But anyway, so ladies and gentlemen, this is the Beta Project. You can always find me on YouTube at Humble and Focused. And today's title of today's video is going to be terms. And it's pretty interesting because it's going to go on. I'm going to give two perspectives of what these terms are going to be. And so I'm really excited to give these to you. So that's quote number one. Do not put off until tomorrow what you can do today. Today is going to talk about a lot of the terms, time frames, and things about life and success that you're going to need to take yourself to the next level. And so this one just talks about putting in the work now, because tomorrow is not guaranteed, right? All right, so that's number one. Here we go. Number two quote. Long-term consistency trumps short-term intensity. This is by Bruce Lee. I mean, how many times can you put a quote next to Bruce Lee that just had one from Benjamin Franklin? Well, today is a great day to do it. But this talks a lot about, what we want for the future. And being consistent is more important than just coming off the bat being really excited. Think about somebody running to first base and they run super fast to first base, but they can only run halfway there. They're always going to get thrown out. But think about that guy who's consistently running the same speed, maybe not as fast as the other guy, to first base. He has a better chance of making it because he's consistent and running through his bases. So ladies and gentlemen, you got to be consistent instead of worrying about that short-term intensity. All right, here we go. What's up, what's up? So we're going to go to our book. Today's video, I want to talk about how often the terms are the problem. The terms are the issue. We're willing to put off tomorrow what we need to do today because we're not looking to build our long-term goals. We're looking for that short-term intensity. Ladies and gentlemen, if you think about it, what is today's society about? Today's society is about getting things quickly. There was a time, and when you had to get on the internet, you had to wait about 3 to 5 minutes. Now, if you had to wait 3 to 5 minutes, you think your phone is broken. And so we have these long-term consistencies, but we're so consistent with, sorry, I won't even say consistent. We're so used to getting this short-term intensity that we never actually realize what we're doing. And we're getting really caught up in the right now of society. But the right now society gets right now answers and right now rewards. When a child, I've actually done this. I say, hey, I can give you one cookie right now, or I can give you 2 cookies in about an hour or in a day. And the child will always take the one right now. Well, guess what? Most adults do the exact same thing. We go through these situations where you buy new TVs, new cars, new homes, all these new things that we're buying. Why? Because we want them right now instead of waiting in the long term to get something bigger and better. So yes, it's important because here's the thing about it, ladies and gentlemen, you must act now. That's the truth. Like, we must act right now if we want something powerful to happen. We have to get to going. So, for example, in the book, we're going back to my favorite book, one of my favorite books, at least the one I'm reading now, The Magic of Thinking Big. It talks about get down to business pronto. Don't waste your time getting ready to act. Don't waste your time getting, oh yeah, man, I'm so excited. I'm going to prepare. I'm going to get ready. Oh, it's going to be great. Imagine how different a trip out of town would be if every time you're getting ready to leave, before you get ready to leave, you're packing. And you're packing, and you're packing, and you're packing, and then the time comes and you're still packing. You don't ever get anything done. You're always getting ready to leave, but you never leave. You must be ready to act pronto and let everything kind of go through and dictate and create itself. That's number one. You must be ready to move now. And so we're talking about the terms of the short term. So we got to move in action now, but that action creates a long term. So I actually heard a quote today that I really liked, and it was like, a lot of people don't do the work now because they don't think that that the outcome is going to actually happen in the future. So we don't act now, we don't do now because we don't believe that's going to be a long term. So instead, we take a lot of short-term wins, but not short-term wins for the end goal, but short-term wins right now. And we don't worry about the future in terms of what we could have because right now I got my win. That's what dating is right now. There's a lot of short-term wins right now. We're dating people right now to get the long term? No. Most people are dating right now to get the short-term gratification of pleasure. And that's what they want. But there's people who are out there dating now for that long term, but they're putting in the action now to get it. Do you believe that your future is possible? And have you actually thought about the future and what you get? Is the future on your terms? That's what I need you to think about. The long-term future. Are you making choices in situations right now that are going to create you something great in the future? Or are you creating choices in situations right now that are going to just be pretty much, redeem right now? Are you going to redeem? The best way I can describe it, investments. Investments are not usually made to be the short-term gain. They're made mainly for the long-term game and following things and watching things grow. But if you or planting a tree, I love planting trees. Planting a seed. You cannot plant a seed today and expect that seed to grow and to be able to bear fruit tomorrow. You must plant that seed now and wait. You must nurture it. You must put in the energy. You must put in the water. You must put in the tending. All these things must be done, pulling weeds, so that the plant can grow big and strong later. You get what I'm saying? But most people aren't even willing to plant. They plant the seed now and expect it to grow now. That's not how it works. Or they go pick off of somebody else's grown tree. That's another big thing. But you got to create your own terms, ladies and gentlemen. That's the big deal. So that's number one. So you got here. Let's go back to the start. Let's start the quotes again. Don't put off tomorrow to what you do today. We got to get started. And long-term consistency trumps short-term intensity. That's a big deal because we're talking about doing something now, but we do it now for the long term. All right. So here is number 3. The future starts today, not tomorrow, by Pope John Paul II. Once again, we're talking about putting in the work now. We keep seeing this word future and long-term consistency, but the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, those are long-term words. But they're telling you the long-term begins with the short. You got to get to work now if you want to create it later. So the last 2 quotes are really important, and they kind of go along with this thing I'm going to read, but I'm going to show you the quote first. Quote is, "Do it now. Sometimes later becomes never." How many things in your life have you put in front of your plate or said you were going to do, or an idea came to you, or a business idea came to you, or a job idea came to you, or a situation came to you that you could have invested in or something, and you said, "Oh, I'll do it later." Later often becomes never. And so we're going back to the book here, and it actually says in here, think of terms of now. So we're talking about right now is what we have to do. Find your term of right now. It says, think of terms of now. Tomorrow, next week, later, and similar words often are synonyms with the failure word never. Be an I'm starting right now kind of person. Ladies and gentlemen, we all put things off. We all put things off. Could you imagine how different school would be if they didn't force us to go whenever we were that age? We would never go to school. We put it off. Because think about it, all the success and all the dreams that you want, you may have had kids, you may have lost your job, you may have needed bills to pay, you may need to fix something in your life, you may not have the money, all these different situations where the time is not now. I'm going to wait a little bit later. Then the next thing you know, you're 60 years old and you realize you haven't done anything that you wanted to do. But you've made excuses because, I've got this and I've built that. But in all reality, you let your dreams die because you want to go later, and then you just forget what they are. That's a pretty big one. And then last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, this is the final quote of today, and I'll let you go here, is that you can't build a long-term future on short-term thinking. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want a long-term relationship, you cannot just go around, excuse my French, banging everything right now. That's not going to help you create that future that you want with that person that you want. That's not how it works. When you want that long-term goal with somebody, you got to think long-term goals. So sleeping with all these people right now is not going to yield you the perfection of the relationship you want in the future. That's a big one, right? That's pretty easy to remember. Think right now, if you're spending all your money right now and not investing it for the long term, then the reason that we do a lot of that is because we can replace the right now money with more right now money, but you haven't really invested in your future. And I'm not talking about like going and buy stocks and bonds, but investing in your future, meaning looking for something more later on down the road. You can't do that if you're only thinking about spending your money about right now and buying all the things you want. You can't build a long-term body if you think short-term right now. So if you eat everything right now that tastes good because it tastes good and you want the long-term results of having a better body in the future, that doesn't work. Those don't correlate. So we have to make these long-term futures. We got to set these goals for the long term, but we can't do it we have to make short-term decisions, but the long term is where we need to be. We need to stop playing the short game, ladies and gentlemen. We have to stop playing the short game. You see in football games, you do short game, 2 yards, 2 yards, 2 yards. You get 8, 6, 4, you're punting, and you give the other team the ball. You can't keep going there because you have to think, I got to get 2 yards. That's important. Yeah, you got to focus on those yards. But at the same time, your long-term goal is to get to the end zone. And so that's all I want to show you, ladies and gentlemen. It's important. So we got terms. We're talking about the terms. 1, do it right now. Act right now. Don't focus on it right now. Have you ever seen a baby try to catch up with his mother and it falls down? It's not thinking about the fall right now because it wants to get to mom. So the long-term future of this is getting to mom or getting to the parent, and it falls down or it trips or has to move something out of the way or has to climb down. It'll do it to get over the short-term hump, but then it goes to the long-term goal, which is to catch up with mommy. And so, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes we just got to catch up with mommy and do those actions. So that's all I have for you, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you got something from the day. I hope you are deciding to go ahead and take some action now for your future long-term. And just remember, the actions now should do that. That's the whole point of taking the action now, is to create something bigger later, not just to have action right now. Get off of that instant gratification kick. Yeah, it feels good. Food feels good. Sex feels good. Drinking feels good. Drugs feel good. Money right now feels good. Shopping feels good. Hanging out all the time feels good. But that's not going to create that future. That's not going to create that idea of what your future could be like. That's just going to give you short-term gratification. Now, you can do those things right now, but make sure that you're also going for your goals and striving for something more than just the right now. Ladies and gentlemen, life is not guaranteed, so act right now, but also at the same time, don't act all the time in the short-term realm just because life isn't guaranteed. It needs to be something long-term that you plan for. Could you imagine trying to build a family and feed a family if you're only planning for the right now? No, you must plan for the future. All endeavors that you want long-term, all these goals and hopes and dreams that are in the future must be done with actions today. And that's all I have for you, ladies and gentlemen. Just remember, and I'm going to go back to this one quote in here because it's so big, is that stop thinking in terms of the tomorrow, next week, later. Those often result in failure. They're also the same thing as negative. And yeah, I can't talk to that. And never. So just be a right now person. Go out and do something now that's going to help you in the future. I'm DeMarcus. That was my motivational beta project mix today. And I hope you have a blessed one. We will talk soon. Have a blessed one. Talk to you soon. Today's Thursday. Happy Thursday. I'll see you tomorrow.